Hi everyone, this is Grace. How are you? You know, these are the two books I highly recommend you to read. The first book is the book written by a professor of London University Business School. According to this book, we would be living up to age 100 and we will be working until age 80. So let's redesign your life. And in order to have a productive and happy 100-year life, I truly believe you need to have a balance of three things: your love, good relationship, your good health, and money. And among those three, love, love and health and money, among those three, I personally believe good health is most important, because as long as you are healthy, you can go out and meet more people. You can have more new relationship, meet new friends. And as long as you're healthy, I think you can continue working to have that money, so you don't have to worry about running out of money after your retirement. And for that purpose, I highly recommend you to read this book, The Plant Paradox, written by a medical doctor. He is a world-class, famous heart surgeon in Los Angeles. And I happened to come across with this book in April of this year. And since then, I am following his diet. It's called lectin-free diet. And guess what? In about 4 months, I have lost about 14 pounds or 7 kilograms. And I feel great. I feel healthier. I feel stronger. I don't feel tired. I am full of energy and happy. So I have tried so many other diets, but to me, it might be individual variances and the results may vary, but to me, this is the best diet. So according to this book, he says funny thing. He said, you are what they ate. You are what they ate. That means he says, do not eat corns, carbs, grains, and don't eat soybeans and soybean derivatives like tofu and soy milk. And number 3, he said don't eat legumes, beans. And number 4, he said don't eat night-shaped vegetables like tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplant, zucchini, squash, melons, all those things. So we take care of what we eat, right? Because they say you are what you eat. But what if? What if your beef, cattle, your pork, even fish, if they were fed by corns, soybeans, legumes, and other, brown rice or all those things, then you are what they eat. Even though you try not to eat all those, carbs or bad lectin foods, but if your beef, pork, chicken, all the seafoods, farmed fish are fed by those things, you are what they eat. So that's why I've been really paying close attention to what they ate. And guess what? In the United States, I trust Whole Foods so much. They are one of the best health food supermarket. So I went to Whole Foods in my neighborhood. I went to their beef department and I asked them, I said, do you have 100% grass-fed beef? And the Whole Foods people, they are so honest. They are so good, professional. You know what they told me? Oh, I'm sorry, but our beef is not 100% grass-fed. I said, oh, what do you mean? And they explained to me, when I went there, this particular Whole Foods store in my neighborhood, the person said their beef was grass-fed only the first 2/3 of their lives. So when they were born until 2/3 of their life, they were indeed grass-fed, and they can run around the ranch, and they were eating grass. However, the last 1/3 of their life, before they were sent to slaughterhouse, they were fed by grains, corn, beans, soybeans to make them fat. So that's why I really appreciate the honesty and the professionalism of a Whole Foods store. So I was disappointed. Oh, the beef at the Whole Foods are not 100% grass-fed. Then I went to Trader Joe. I read the label, but unfortunately, they didn't have grass-fed beef either. But they had grass-fed lamb from New Zealand. So I cook, but I don't know about you, but to me, lamb was tough. It's not as juicy and tender as a beef. So, even though it's a grass-fed, but lamb is not my choice. And then finally, I found the grass-fed beef in my neighbor expensive supermarket. And then guess what? It says 100% grass-fed beef from New Zealand. How about that? From New Zealand. So, in Japan, on July 11th of this year, 2018, there is my favorite business TV program. There is a TV station similar to CNBC here. So this particular favorite program, they air about grass-fed beef. So they send their troop to New Zealand. According to this program, in New Zealand, did you know? In New Zealand, 95% of New Zealand beef is grass-fed. How about that? 95% of New Zealand beef is grass-fed. So they interview New Zealand people, and the New Zealand people say, oh yeah, we grew up with the grass-fed beef. It's so good. Oh, sorry for you guys. You never had grass-fed beef, So that's why my supermarket in my neighborhood, they sell 100% grass-fed beef from New Zealand. And since I found it, I go to my neighborhood grocery store every single week, and I buy grass-fed beef from them. They have a grass-fed ground beef, and they have a grass-fed steak meat. And they are so juicy and so good. And they also, one of the ranches in New Zealand, they air it. So this particular ranch, they really do a research how to make grass-fed beef juicy and tasty. And this is their kind of corporate, trade secret. But they have 3 kinds of grass to feed their cattle. They have something called line grass, just an ordinary grass that looks like a line. So line grass and white clover and red clover. So this ranch, they grow those 3 kinds of mixture of grass, and then they let their cattle eat those grass. That's why their beef is not too grassy. Because I remember when I was in Jakarta as an expat, 20 years ago, and they had a anjing kampong, they had a grass-fed beef, but I remember that grass-fed beef was number 1, tough, not tender, and number 2, it's really too grassy smell. It was too grassy smell that I couldn't take it, because I'm used to, Australian beef and US beef raised by grain and corn. So at that time, 100% grass-fed beef to me was too grassy fragrance. But in New Zealand, they do all the research, and they research the kinds of grass to feed the cattle to make it fruity, not too grassy and juicy and tender, tasty. So that's it. If you have a chance, go look for 100% grass-fed beef from New Zealand. Their beef is great. And then that's what this doctor say. For lectin-free healthy diet, let's eat grass-fed beef, not the marbleized beef, okay? All right, that's all for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.